Okay, so today's video, I have two articles I want to share with you, and both of them were sent to me by the community. They each show proof that the US economy is hurting right now. But the second article, which came from a red county where Trump held a rally, really shows how tone deaf and completely in their own bubble they are. The excuses they make will probably make you cringe, facepalm, and pretty much everything else. I also have a clip from a US citizen talking about her experience with CBP when she tried getting back into her own country. And I'll end today's video on a funny note from another Canadian YouTube creator I was able to reach out to. Today's backdrop comes from Richard, who sent in this photo from Comox, BC, near the Little River Ferry Terminal. Richard sent in a whole bunch of photos from BC, so I'm looking forward to showing them in the videos. These photos of BC definitely mean a lot more to me these days, so thank you, Rich, for sending these over. Okay, let's get started. Alright, so ever since I found out that my editing software actually has screen capturing, I'm going to try to see if I can do this a little bit more freestyle. So the article that we have here comes from National Post and it's titled, "Dear Canada, we miss you. What these US cities and states are doing to woo Canadians back." Now, I know everybody watching this right now knows that there's nothing that they can do to woo us back. But I want to show you guys what some of these states are actually trying to do and what we actually know what some of these guys have actually done because I've actually covered it in previous reports. But I wanted to recap with you to show you what they're trying to do, I guess. And with all of these states, you're going to find a common theme. Let's start with California. Now, California was one of the first states to actually launch a campaign to try to get us back. And they launched the California Loves Canada campaign, which at the time I thought was a little bit tone deaf, especially with Trump on high gear with his 51st state bullshit. But regardless of that, what I remember is that the campaign focused so much on how we always love California, how we always used to go there. We had so much history with them. I think that was the first time for me when I actually realized that the US doesn't actually care about us. They just want our money. Okay, I shouldn't generalize. What I'm saying is that it was the first time for me to realize that the government, the tourism officials, and businesses really don't care about us. All right, let's move on to the next state in the article. So the next state in the article, they mentioned Maine, which, if you follow my channel, I've been very highly critical of Janet Mills, mainly because of the fact that I don't believe she understands what Canadians are going through. And there was a few articles where she actually said, "We're not hurting Donald Trump. We're actually hurting our friends in Maine." So that tells me everything I need to know, because I don't need to hear this gaslighting that our boycott is hurting our friends and it's hurting your economy. Moving on, we have the state of New York, who's also been very vocal that they are suffering because we're not spending money at their border towns. Now, I recall kind of seeing somewhere that, yes, New York is a blue state, but if you look at the border towns or any of the towns closer to the border, many of those towns actually did vote for Donald Trump. So I have to ask, why would any Canadian who is offended by the 51st state rhetoric and also Trump's followings want to spend any money in any of these cities that are right across the border that may have voted for Trump? Moving on to the next cities, we got Buffalo as well as Rochester. Both of them have been pleading to Canada to come back. In Buffalo, their AAA team is suffering. And yes, I know they are the affiliate for Toronto Blue Jays, but if I had to relate it to hockey, because hockey is my sport, if the Vancouver Canucks had an affiliate team in Bellingham, and I used to go before to watch the games, there is no way in hell I would be going right now, even if they're offering prices at par. Next is Rochester. Dear Canada, we've missed you. I did a report on this one, where I think it was a tourism official, basically said it's safe to come to Rochester. Again, just like in Maine, what they're forgetting is the fact that we have to cross the border. And not only that, there are factors like ICE running around and just being in the US. Why would we want to be in a country where we're disrespected? Kalispell. I just did a report on these guys, and they created a Canadian Welcome Pass, which is an app that is full of like discounts for restaurants, hotels, whatever else they think that could get us across the border. In my opinion, I don't think this app is going to work. I mean, if I was their target audience, I wouldn't be downloading the app, and I would be emailing them telling them why this is not going to work. And last but not least, Burlington, who temporarily renamed a street after Canada. Now, I get the sentiment on this one. I mean, they're trying. But it doesn't change the fact that they don't control the border. The people are still the same. And when I say people, I mean the people who have voted for Trump. You can't tell me there's nobody in Burlington that voted for Trump. So renaming a street to Canada, I get the sentiment and thank you, but sorry, it's not going to work. So what's the common theme here? Nothing in this article when it comes to the states or even the cities have mentioned anything about the disrespect, the issues crossing the border, or anything that is actually concerning to us as Canadians. So when I read this, I shrug it off and I say, sorry, but you guys brought this on yourself. Now, to the haters who think I'm too harsh on this, just watch this clip.
Up and down the Jersey Shore, we have tourists from all over the East Coast, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. But down in Cape May County, as much as 10% of the tourism spending comes from our neighbors up north in Canada. For decades, Canadian tourists have made the 10-hour drive from Quebec in Canada down to the southern Jersey Shore, especially here in Wildwood. But with an unstable economy and political tension between the US and Canada, this summer is a little bit different.
Well, I had repeat Canadians already booked. Not all of them, but they were booked from when they checked out. Once President Trump was elected, the phones started ringing and they would cancel. And their excuse was, or reasoning, was they were afraid to get back on the border, that they wouldn't get back in.
Our excuse. You say it in a way that makes it sound like we're being unreasonable for not going to the US to support your motel, the Granada Ocean Resort. And then you say the excuse or reasoning was because we couldn't get back in. Back in where? Into the US or back into our own country? If you're talking about getting back into the US, okay, that is a legit reason. But we don't want to be detained or deal with rude CBP guards. But that's not the real reason, and you know it. Now, what she says next will probably piss off a lot of you.
But in theory, I really think it's more their exchange rate.
Blaming it on the exchange rate. Again, I'm literally dumbfounded by these people who cannot get out of their US exceptionalism and who genuinely think that we do not want to visit the country anymore because of a dollar and not because of them and their president. Now, I've never heard of Wildwood until our viewer sent me the article. But being a resident there, he told me that Trump held a rally in this town. So that already tells me that there's overwhelming support for Trump. So I'm not at all surprised by her response. And here are the voting results for Wildwood. It's a small town, but there's still 60% of the population who voted for Trump. So I would bet good money on who this motel owner voted for. And not only that, but the entire narrative of the story and who this media outlet chooses to defend. And as for the quote on the screen, it's basically like saying people will come back because they have good memories of our town. But to me, it sounds like someone saying, we abused and disrespected our ex and used them for their money. But hey, they'll come back because we share some good memories. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I'm not walking back into this abusive relationship. Let me know in the comments if you feel the same way. And if you do agree and you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button to show your support. I'm just here saying out loud what we're all thinking. So if you agree, help me by hitting that subscribe button.
But they create memories here and they want to continue to create them. And I think that's why most come here. This is part of their, they've been coming, they bring their children down, their grandchildren down, and they want to continue to create the memories. And that's what this is about here.
No, this is what it's about. They're still good for the economy and they spend money when they visit here. Again, that's like saying, well, they're not completely useless to us. They're good for something. We don't need them for anything else except their money. Not once has this report ever mentioned anything about the 51st state or understanding what Canadians are going through.
Full shirts for their family, but they get the shirt, the cup, the keychain, the magnet. They get a little bit of everything. And I really appreciate them for that.
Yeah. Businesses we spoke to all said the same thing. This summer's been a little lighter than usual, but the Canadian tourists who made the trip are glad they did.
Now, why don't you talk about the Canadian tourists who didn't go? The ones who actually canceled. Show their reasons. Show what they actually said and quote it on why they pulled the plug. Because I don't personally believe what that motel woman said. I don't believe for a second that every Canadian who canceled only mentioned the exchange rate or just the border. There are millions of us boycotting, and you're telling me that not one single Canadian mentioned the 51st state garbage or the disrespect. Yeah, no, I don't believe you at all. And to the shop owner offering us a keychain? No thanks. That's all I gotta say. I want to thank our viewer for sending this over to me. And honestly, I want to thank you personally for supporting this channel and supporting Canada as well, especially while being surrounded by businesses and shop owners like these. You, as well as the rest of my US viewers, give me hope that not all US citizens are like them. So moving on, I want to show you a clip of a US citizen entering back into the US after coming from Canada.
Brett and I have been a little bristly. Neither one of us want to leave Canada at all. Wanted, wanted, past tense. The border crossing was interesting to me in that the Border Patrol guy was so rude. And I sat there thinking, as his rudeness just frickin' permeated the car, oh my God, if he's this rude to an American citizen, how rude is he being to my Canadian family? How rude is he being? What's he putting them through? He didn't look at our phone or anything like that, but he was just rude, and he was like, what's in Canada? And it was like, friends, family, my future. Brett later, this is kind of funny. Brett later said it took everything he had, because I was driving, so I was talking to the guy. It took everything he had not to say Canadians. What's in Canada? Canadians. Maple syrup.
She's right. If they're treating their own citizens like this, when they're trying to get back into their own country, then the rudeness towards Canadians and international tourists is going to be even worse. We're already guilty before proven innocent, especially if your skin color isn't the one they prefer. This clip came from a TikTok creator named Tennessee Blue. They've been vlogging about their relocation to Canada. I think they're trying to get into Canada. It's the first time I've seen their content, but they're definitely a good follow from a US perspective. I'll have their TikTok link in the description below. I really wish tourism officials, government officials, and business owners would hear her message. Canadians don't need to deal with a rude CBP or rude US citizens. I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about the ones who don't want Canadians or people of color in their country. And this right here is one of the many reasons Canadians are not going back to their beloved border towns. Not the fucking exchange rate. I'm sorry, that motel owner and her arrogant, smug attitude really pissed me off. Which is why I'm actually glad I'm ending this video on a lighter, funnier note. Someone on Blue Sky tagged me in a post, which led me to another post. And that's where I found this Canadian YouTuber skit about a US governor. I thought it was hilarious, so I reached out to Claire, and she gave me permission to use her video. Claire is a Canadian actor based out of Toronto, and she's been featured on CBC and even satire sites like the Beaverton. And this video I'm about to show you lines up perfectly with today's message. After the video, I will tell you exactly who came to mind when I watched her skit. Let's take a look, and I'm going to let it run straight through.
Hi Canada, I'm the governor of a US state. My state's pretty cool, and you used to love us. But a few months ago, something changed. And for the life of me, I can't figure out what it was. And so I have to ask, why aren't you visiting us anymore? What are you afraid of? How awesome we are? Are you jealous? Is that it? It's a complete mystery. What possible reason could you have for not wanting to come here? I just don't get it. My state has trees, roads, beer that makes you ask, is this water? Totally chill, normal, fun vibes. And so we in my state are eager to welcome you back. All you need to do is go to the border, show us your papers, cross the border if your papers are good enough, show us more papers, present your phone and social media to customs officers, show more papers, answer a few questions about your loyalty to our president, show more papers, tell your loved ones where you are and have your affairs in order, show those papers again, hope your skin is the right color, swear an undying oath to J.D. Vance's favorite couch, show those papers, and then you can come right in after a potentially quick layover in beautiful El Salvador. Why don't you want to do that? I'm so confused. We used to be such good friends, and I miss us hanging out. Also, my state is dying. So help me out, Canada. Visit my state. Let us show you that visiting America is exactly the same as visiting Canada, because I legitimately cannot think of a single thing that's changed. I promise that when you get here, you'll never leave. Papers, please.
Now, who did this remind me of? Yeah. To be fair, I know Governor Mills is not as bad as the skit, but the similarities are pretty hard to ignore. If you enjoyed the skit, I encourage everyone to head over to Claire's channel and send her your support. I'll be honest, I was pretty pissed off editing this video because of that motel owner, but But after watching Claire's video, it calmed me down a bit. So check out our channel and watch her other videos and tell her Guard the Leaf sent you. That's it for today's video. I'll see you all in the next one, and have a great rest of the day, everyone.